Right, so this is a direct reply to JCK692. Obviously, we got into a bit of a nasty back and forth, and then obviously we've calmed down now. But there's too much to write back, so I'm just going to directly reply to you. Obviously, we're back on neutral ground now, mate. I'm quite cool with you. I actually read all of your comments. Interesting. I'll give it that. When you're going on about the politicians, yeah, the politicians do pit us all against us, but that's part of the reason with mass immigration. It works brilliantly. See, what happens is, because if you bring people from all over the world, I'll start with that one. You bring people from all over the world, what's going to happen is, naturally people are going to group together. Look up I haven't got time to go through this properly, but if you type in Muhammad Ali, Michael Parkinson, racial segregation, I think it is. Muhammad Ali put it brilliantly. Now, if you look at birds during the day, how often do you see crows and pigeons knocking around together? How often do you see magpies and crows hanging out together? How often do you see robins and blackbirds knocking around together? You see my point? They naturally group together. They're all birds, but they've got different interests. The different types of birds, and humans aren't different. You can go all sorts of different animals here, couldn't you? Bears, fish. The list is endless. But we're different, and humans aren't any different to nature. That's what we need to remember. So naturally, what happens is with multiculturalism and mass immigration, and multiracialism, which is the main problem. Britain's always been multicultural. Someone from Lancashire will be different from someone in Essex because of the geographics of the area. But my point being, if you bring people from Somalia, you're going to end up with a Somalian community. Bring people from Kenya, they have a Kenyan community. Nigerian community. Pakistanis come in, they have their own community and their own beliefs. People from Thailand come in, they have their own beliefs, their own food. You know, Muhammad Ali said all this because it's nature. You know, humans are the most complex animal in the world that we know of. So we've got cultures, we've got foods that we like, we've got languages. So it doesn't work having all these people squashed into big urban metropolises together. And the thing is, it's okay at the minute while we can meet the demands. The supply can meet the demand. That's what I'm trying to say. So at the minute, you got your food, you got your water, you've got your internet, you've got your comforts for the time being. What happens when we have another 2020 scenario, and you have all these different ethnic groups of people squashed in together? It's going to be absolute chaos. It's a tinderbox waiting to go off. I think it was a joke. Heath Ledger's Joker, wasn't it, that said that the people are only as good as the world will allow them to be. If the chips are down, these civilised people will eat each other. Something along them lines. And it's true. We saw it with bloody toilet paper only 4 years ago. Right, what else you got? In truth, I won't say come across as weak of mind, blah blah blah. Yeah, so we think differently. That's fine. You see the world differently, and I saw the world the same as you probably do. About 10 years ago, I think it was. I was 26. I was getting into politics and thinking a bit more outside of drinking and shagging, as you do when you go past 25. And initially, I was a Marxist. Really, I didn't even know it at the time. I was a brainwashed Marxist, going along with the BBC's narrative. They had me hook, line, and sinker, and I didn't even know it. You know, I had no problem with transsexuals. I still don't, to be fair, but I don't think it should be encouraged. And I don't think it should be publicised as much as it is. It should be something that you keep to yourself, basically. If you want to go down that road, fine, but don't be broadcasting it constantly and expecting everybody to agree with your lifestyle choices. But getting to the point, I understand your train of thought that you see humans as humans. That's fine. I must admit, on my travels, the vast majority of people I meet who are foreign are actually nicer than a lot of the British people, because they haven't been poisoned by this culture that's crept in over the last 50 odd years, or the brainwashing because of the events that happened in New York. Towards autumn 2001. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. 2 big tower blocks, shall we say. They haven't been brainwashed and corroded as badly. The poison hasn't set in with the foreigners. And like the Muslims, you can actually have a good chat with a lot of them. They're quite switched on to what's going on. You can't have that with the bloody footy fans, who don't think about anything other than football. And yeah, right. Yeah, you don't feel any kinship towards other white people than you do with anyone else. Well, I disagree, because the thing is with white people, so if I'm mixed race. I'm quite lucky. I've got a little race card. I think I've got a drop of African in me, but I feel a bit of a connection to Europeans, particularly the Irish and the British, but the Irish mostly, because that's what most of my ethnic makeup is. So I feel a connection with the people that my ethnicity comes from. I feel much more of a connection with people who my ancestors would have shared this island with than say someone in China. I don't hate the Chinese because of that. It's just that we've got something in common. When I look at fellow white Europeans, we've shared a lot of struggle. Our ancestors have both shared a lot of struggle to get us to this point that we're at now. I think we need to respect that. Maybe once upon a time we would have been fighting wars against each other, but for the time being everything's okay. So, yeah. So your last paragraph is going on about World War Two, mate. World War Two is a complete lie. The same as the Iraq War was a lie. The same as Libya with Gaddafi was a lie. Every single war that not every, that's probably an exaggeration, but I'd say the vast majority of wars Britain has been involved in have been based on lies, and World War Two is no different. Go and watch the Greatest Story Never Told by Dennis Wise. I think you can still find it on Odyssey or Rumble. It will give you a totally different narrative to what I think. There's actually a guy called Zoomer Historian who's managed to slip through the cracks on YouTube, who's given a totally different narrative to World War Two. I've been to the certain barbed wire camp in Poland. I've been and seen it with my own eyes, and the narrative doesn't make sense. I've got to be careful because it's even illegal to question it. Let me put this to you as well. Do you not think it's a bit odd that it's illegal to question something? If your narrative was that strong and watertight, why would you need to make it illegal to question it? There's the list, it goes way into depth, and I've got to be careful what I say. But World War Two, the funny moustache man, that's not true. Half the stuff that's been said about him, and bear in mind as well. I'll finish on this. We're coming up to the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings this year. Normandy. We landed on the 6th hour of the 6th day of the 6th month. What would be the chances of that? Seriously, what would be the chances of that? It's almost like it was organised. 1944, 1 had 9, 4 had 4, 18. Obviously that's 666 as well. Again, just total coincidence, of course. But can you imagine what them men storming the beach of Normandy would think if they knew in 80 years' time? Bear in mind the process, it's been a gradual process to where we are now. But if you had told them men 80 years ago, storming them beaches of Normandy, but in 80 years' time, you'll have a white minority London, Birmingham, Luton, Leicester. The country will be descending into a third world nation that's going to look more like Africa or the Middle East by 2050. We've got an Indian Prime Minister, a Pakistani Muslim running London. I know you don't think this way, but you imagine being in their boots as they landed on them shores. So again, like I was only saying to Nigel Watson the other day, the narrative doesn't fit, does it? That we were the good guys, because how have we ended up in this situation, if that's the case? And I think that'll do. There's certainly no animosity to you. I'm sure if I sat down and had a brew with you, we'd probably have a very interesting conversation. Totally polar opposites, but it'd make it interesting, wouldn't it? So, yeah, that's that. Cheers.